Hey there YouTube, it's me TFI Wilderness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this year's TFNation haul video, the haul for TFNation 2025. Now I'm filming this on Wednesday the 13th, so we're 3 days post convention, and I got half day off work, so I thought I'd sit down and do it. Now what I do is I save up money throughout the course of the year. I have a little bit of money that transfers from my main current account into a separate account. That builds up over the course of the year, and then just before the convention I'm able to draw that money out, add a little bit to it from the credit card, and that gives me a big wad of cash to go into a convention and, you know, fill me boots. And that's what I do every year. So I save up for it over the course of the year and have a big old blowout. So my hauls tend to be quite large, and this one is no exception. I want to try to expedite this video because my videos tend to be a bit chatty and a bit length. So let's go on, shall we? Before I actually get into the haul, obviously a few words about the convention itself. I mean, last year I did the what I refer to as the convention commute. Instead of doing the whole convention experience, you know, staying at the hotel, going into the bar, socialising, then doing the dealer hall on the Saturday, Sunday, Club Con and all that, I did a totally different thing because the year before I was a bit disgusted at Hilton's price hike they did on the hotel rooms. That I decided, you know what, I'm not going to bother. So last year I did the commute. It led to a much different convention experience. I basically drove from home on the Saturday morning, went in the dealer hall, went around the dealer hall, and when that was done I went back home again and then came back the following day, did the same, and I think I stuck around for the closing ceremony. But it was a very different convention experience for me last year. But this year we're sort of back to normal. I managed to get a room in the hotel. Fortunately, well, I missed the cheap rooms for the hotel booking, but then there were still some of the more expensive, you know, sort of premium rooms left. So I booked one of those, and it was a much better room than I usually have, and it was only 20-30 quid more per night than I would have normally paid. So it was actually quite a good deal. So I'm glad I did that. Obviously I took a bunch of my Korean toys to this convention. I've got them on the floor here, like for instance, obviously I took this guy, Metal Carbot S Gigantrex. I took this guy, Metal Carbot S Blue Crop Trinity. I took this guy, Metal Carbot S Blast Train. I took this guy, Metal Carbot S Flame Nova. So that was all the Metal Carbot big boys. And I also took this guy, Mini Force Super Cops Captain Commander. And I also took Autobot Heavy Metal, aka Autobot Steel, Autobot Chrome and Autobot Iron. So I took this guy because of its obvious similarity with Optimus Prime. So I took those, and I had them out in the bar on the Friday and the Saturday, and I didn't have them all out together. I had, you know, some out one day and some out the other, and it generated a lot of interest, and quite a lot of people, especially on the Saturday, when I had the Metal Carbot S big boys on the table, lots of people came around and says, "Oh, that's really cool. Oh, is that from, you know, Transformers Zone or Transformers Brave?" And then there was one girl in particular. Now her name was Noelle, and she came around and she was absolutely gushing over the Metal Carbot S figures, especially Blue Cop S, because she'd never ever seen it in the plastic, and she was actually very knowledgeable about the show, and we had a good long chat for about at least 45 minutes to an hour just talking about, you know, Metal Carbots and the show. I actually played 2 of the episodes on my phone while I was stood in the bar, and yeah, it was really, really good. I got a lot of positive, you know, feedback from various people as regards to my Korean toys. The reason I take them to the conventions is so other people can see them in the flesh, in the plastic, so to speak. They might not necessarily be to your interest, but you can see why I collect them. You know, you can see why I buy them so you don't have to. You know, it's all that. But I thought it'd be interesting to bring a lot of toys this year, and that's what I did. Oh yeah, and I forgot. I also took this guy as well because he goes with the Super Cops Captain Commander. So that was that. Now, before I get onto the haul, wristbands. Yeah, got a bunch of wristbands. Got the Friday one. Got the Saturday one. And then the Sunday one. Now I also got one for Club Con, but as you can see I haven't used it because I didn't even go in Club Con. I mean, in fact, the auditorium, I only sort of, on the Friday I went there and I watched a little bit of Transformers 1 movie when they were playing it, and then I never went anywhere near the place on the Saturday, including Club Con. I didn't do Club Con this year, even though I paid for it, and as you can see I've got the wristband and I didn't use it. Yeah, so I just... Club Con just didn't work for me this year. I mean, really, the only thing on Club Con that's of any interest to me is the cosplay. But to me, the cosplay is now getting so diluted with humanised Transformers characters rather than the mech characters. It's of little interest to me, so I don't bother with that. But anyway, this year they had the paper wristbands. Now, I've watched somebody else's haul video where they said the reason they went for these was because of environmental friendliness, and I get that. But in previous years we had the fabric bands. So here's one of my fabric bands from my previous years. I didn't mind these. These were all right. But they've gone to plastic. They've gone to paper. And to be honest, I think these are a bit naff because they're supposed to be anti-tamper, and yet you can just peel them apart. You know, the tamper seal doesn't work on them properly. A little bit of sweat on them, and you see they just peel apart without breaking the tamper seal. So that was great. I could understand why they went for this, but personally I got used to the fabric bands, but that's just me, you know. So I think it was a bit of a cop-out doing this, but they had their reasons, obviously, and if it was due to environmental concerns, then that's fair dues. But also I will say, paper bands not waterproof, so I was wearing one while I was washing my hands on the Sunday, and as you can see the water got to it and almost tore it to pieces. So if you were stupid enough to be wearing this in the shower, it would have got completely wrecked. So yeah, they're not waterproof. The tamper-proof seals are not very good on them. I'm not that impressed with the paper bands this year, to be honest. Anyway, right, so that's pretty much my thoughts on the haul, on the convention. You know, I stayed in the hotel, I got a fancy room, blah blah blah, wristbands, you know, staying stuff, you know, going in the bar. Let's get on to the haul. I mean, we're already 7 minutes in and I haven't even shown you any plastic. So on the Friday night, well, actually the first thing I got on the Friday was my tour t-shirt, which I'm wearing. Yeah, so when I signed in, I went over to the merch desk, gave my name, and they gave me that. So I pre-ordered the tour t-shirt, which, as you can see, it's got all the stuff on the back, including Scott McNeil's name, because unfortunately he wasn't able to attend the convention due to a medical emergency. And yeah, I don't know how much that affected the panels and such. I heard that certain people who paid out for the leader ticket were going to get refunds because he was a no-show. But I'm sure the convention, you know, organisers had contingency plans in case a guest dropped out, and I think the other guests, you know, really upped their ante to cover for the missing guest. And I don't know, I never did any panels or anything, but I'm sure that they made it work one way or another. And it's a shame that Scott wasn't able to go there. I would have took my Beast Wars Silverbolt to get him signed, but when I got that notification a couple of days before to say that Scott wasn't going to be there, you know, it was a bit disappointing. But you know, these voice actors, you know, from the 80s and 90s, they're getting on in years, you know, and we've lost a few already, and it's only a matter of time before they all go bye-bye. But yeah, so they're not getting any younger. So, you know, you've got to expect issues like this cropping up in the future. So it was unfortunate and disappointing, but whatever, you know, these things happen. So that was that. And then in the bar on Friday night, I got some of my figures out, and I put, you know, my Korean figures out, and I stuck them on the table. Anyway, I found myself sandwiched between Jim Sorensen and Chris McFeely, which was an unusual place to be. And while I was there, this guy came over and talked to Jim Sorensen and said he was following him online. And he sat down and then rummaged in his bag and then handed some, you know, sort of freebie, sort of, you know, sort of art packs to me and Jermaine, who was stood next to me. So this was a gift that I got. It was this, and it was from, get the card out. It was from Andy from TF Raw. So he had this packet inside. It's got like sort of like reproductions of the sort of like the sketches of characters from Transformers, and it's got some, you know, Japanese promotional art, and it comes with a DVD-ROM. So that's an interesting little freebie that got handed to me by Andy of TF Raw on the bar on Saturday night, so that was good. And that was all the stuff on Friday. So now getting into Saturday, I didn't do early access. I you know, queued to come in at the normal time. It wasn't super busy, but going into the convention this year, I didn't really have much of a game plan of what I was going to do. There was a couple of things. Had they been there, had I seen them, I would have bought them. But out of those things that I was looking for, I didn't get many of them. But I did sort of pick them up throughout the weekend, some of them that I was after. So anyway, so first thing first, come through the door and I walk over to In Demand and I look at all their generation stuff on the rack and I start going pluck, 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 pluck. Starting off with Vortex, Age of the Primes, Deluxe Combaticon Vortex. I'm going to go in on Bruticus. I got the Combiner Wars Bruticus. I kind of like Bruticus. I'm not too bothered about Superion and the aerial bots. Really couldn't give two hoots about them. But Bruticus, I do have a thing for Bruticus. I was on the fence about getting this. And even though Vortex doesn't look that great, but some of the later figures that are coming down for this line do look good. I mean, they've, you know, shown the pictures of Brawl and he looks really cool. But anyway, I decided to go in on Bruticus, so I picked up Vortex. Then, I don't know why I did this. Yeah, Transformers 1 Studio Series B127 Bumblebee. Now, normally I wouldn't touch this because it's Bumblebee, but I went for it because in the past I've been collecting deluxe class Bumblebees just to do the comparison between, you know, the mould as it has evolved over the years. And I thought, well, I haven't got a deluxe, you know, Bumblebee from, you know, Transformers 1, so I decided to get him. So got that. Then Excellion, Age of the Primes Excellion. Again, I've got Hotshot, the Age of the Primes Hotshot, or was it Age of the Primes, or was it no? It was Legacy, wasn't it? It was Legacy. It was the last wave of Legacy. I've got him, but they said they were doing a red repaint as Excellion. I've got the original Excellion toy. I've got the Legends Excellion toy, so I decided to get this. I have taken him out of the box. Well, opened the box to make sure he's got his feet on. The feet aren't missing, so he is fully intact. So managed to get him. He's pretty good. And Sideways, yes, Transformers Age of the Prime Sideways. Managed to get him. I've got the original Cybertron Sideways. Decided to get this for comparison's sakes. I've seen a bunch of videos since then of people doing the direct comparison between the two toys. Side by side, they look virtually identical. It's bells and whistles. Like the Cybertron toy's got all the gimmicks on it, whereas the you know, the Age of the Primes figure has got all the articulation. So it swings and roundabouts. They're very close to the original. There's not much in it, to be honest. But so I decided to get him. He's still a decent figure at the end of the day. Then when I was going up to queue to get my to pay for the stuff on the this is all from In Demand, by the way. Yeah, that's one thing I will do in this haul. I will give shout outs to the retailers or the dealers that I bought this stuff from over the course of the weekend. So yeah, I got all that stuff from In Demand, and then while I was waiting to pay, I looked on their sort of table, and they had a bunch of Generation Selects lined up with the labels all facing up so you could read which character it was. I scanned down this line and I saw a name and I thought, ooh. And I double checked. I checked the number, you know, War for Cybertron GS09. I put it in. Hotshot. Yes, baby. I've been after this thing for a while. This figure is like hen's teeth, and I'm surprised no one else picked it up, because obviously I went in after the early access, and I'm surprised no one else clocked this and picked it up, because this is a real rarity. I mean, this figure, I could have bought it for what I paid for it, gone on eBay and flipped it round for a tidy profit straight away, because it's one of those figures that sold out really quickly. It's never been reissued in these colours, and it's really hard to get, and yet In Demand had it on their stall. So yeah, there he is, War for Cybertron GS09. I haven't opened it yet, but just to prove that he's in there. There he is. There he is. Right, so yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised. It was 50 quid, but then again, Generation Selects repaint, very, very rare. I was quite happy to pay 50 quid for it. I've paid more money for Deluxes in the past, so 50 quid for a Deluxe, especially if it's a rare repaint, I've got no bother in doing that. So managed to get really happy to get that. And because I spent a lot of money with In Demand, they threw in a freebie. So I got another Transformers one, Bumblebee, the flip changer. So yeah, they gave me this for free. It was a freebie, but yeah, it's a freebie at the end of the day. I noticed that from some other people's TFNation hauls that when they did big purchases with In Demand, they were chucking in freebies. Some people got slightly different things. I suppose it's all this is how they get rid of all the shitty little sort of figures that people tend to that shelf warm. They get rid of them as convention sort of giveaways. So got that. And there we go. Now, moving along. Right, so then I went over to Primetime Toys and perused their stall. They had a wide selection of stuff, but there was some obvious gaps. They didn't have so much new age stuff as I was expecting, and also their fans hobby selection was a bit lacking as well. There wasn't a lot going on there. But anyway, I went down sort of the Legends end of the table and had a look and saw a couple of things that I wanted. So starting with this guy, DX9 Mini 03 Matthew Axleson, or their version of Brainstorm. Now, I have got this out and I did transform it on the Saturday night. It's a little bit too overcomplicated for its own good, this figure. I will go more into it when I do my end of month bot haul, but for now I'm just showing you, sort of the boxes of what I got. Not that impressed with it, to be honest, but still I wanted it because I like to carry some old set collect Brainstorm, so I was going to buy it anyway, so I got that. Then another thing I was kind of hoping to get at the convention if I saw it. It was one of the things I did get that I was wanting to get if I saw it. Mechanic Studios MS37D Giant Axe. Their broadside. I had to think for a moment there. Yeah, got him. Very complicated thing, this, considering how simplistic the G1 toy is, which I got earlier in the year. This thing has got a lot going on. It really has. And there's is it Studio Cell are doing like a masterpiece version. So, and I think Dr. Wu are going to do a micro one, which I'll be keen to get. But anyway, had to get that. So there we go. I got him. He was pretty cool. And then it was like, then I started wandering around the hall, looking at all the other stores, and it took me a while taking in the various stalls, seeing what was on the shelf, looking for certain things that weren't there. Like I said, I had a look on the Toy Fu stall. Very hard to get into it early doors because there was a big stacks of people trying to get at the Toy Fu stall. Anyway, sort of wandering around. Eventually, I found myself at the Kapow stall on the side where they had all their third-party stuff, and I looked down and I saw a figure that I wanted. Now, they had two versions of this figure. They had the original one, and then they had the convention exclusive repaint. Now, the convention exclusive repaint was retailing for 200 quid, and I thought, I'm not getting that. So I looked through, and sure enough, there was the regular coloured version, which was only 135, so it was a lot more palatable. So anyway, Now I've been meaning to get this. It's another version of a figure that I've already got. In fact, the original one is down here somewhere. So, Mastermind Creations Reformatted R53 Tyrantron Rise. So it's their retake on IDW Megatron. I think this is from an earlier version of the IDW, not the later one. I think this is from, is it Stormbringer? I'm not sure, but I think this is based on his design from an earlier version of like IDW 1.0 or whatever it was. But anyway, very interesting, cool looking robot mode, interesting looking tank mode. But yeah, I definitely wanted to make a play on this and managed to get one. And this is the most expensive thing I bought at the convention at 135 quid. So this was my sort of primo purchase, so to speak. Then it was like I went round to see my mate James Lai of Maxmas of Toys. Now I've known James officially now, well, pretty much officially for 10 years, because I first met him at the last Auto Assembly in 2015 in the dealer hall. He said he recognised me from YouTube. I bought a couple of things off him. He gave me a mate's discount, a £5 discount on my purchases, which was great. And I've known this guy for 10 years, and every now and then, I don't see him that often, but when I do, when we have a catch up, we have a good natter. And I went into his stall, and this year was probably going to be James Lai or Maxmas Loves Toys last year at TFNation, because he has said that he's retiring from being a dealer. His stall was a lot smaller than what it usually is, but he still had a good variety of stuff on sale. And I went into his stall because I had to buy something. And sure enough, he had a couple of interesting bits that I wanted to buy. So, the first time I went into his stall, I was looking around, I was having a natter with him, and I was saying, what can I get, what can I get? And I saw this thing on the table below me. And I got it up and looked at it. I said, who the hell made that? And I asked him about it, and he says, that's G Creation, but it hasn't got G Creation on the box. It's got some other company's name. But it's a fourth party reissue of a G Creation figure. But because it's a Nemesis Prime, I had to make a play on it. So this is Strong Defamation Cyber Series, produced by XZHS Studios, whoever they are. But it's basically the G Creation Maxmas, but done in Nemesis colours. And it's sealed, intact. It works with the Masterpiece trailer. It's a Nemesis Prime, baby. I had to make a play on it. And it was quite cheap as well, because I bought this in conjunction with something else that he had on his stall. And I said to him, I says, what price can you do me? And he knocked a couple of quid off. It was only £3, but still I got this. He was asking 74 quid for it, and I think I got it for about 72. So yeah, I got that off James. And then I was also looking round and I saw something else, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a play on that as well. Armada Galvatron. Yeah, he had a loose Armada Galvatron. That's cool. It's pretty much intact. He's got his Minicon. Now I had to look this guy up because obviously it's not Leader 1, because I've got the original Armada one up on the shelf here. His name is Clench. So this is Minicon Clench. So he is the Armada Galvatron's Minicon. It's got all the gimmicks. He's got his antlers. It's Armada Galvatron. He's a bit dirty. He probably wants to clean. But apart from that, he's all there. The only other thing is the missile that's on it doesn't seem to fire. But then again, when I look at it, it's very tight in the barrel, and I don't think it's the original missile for it. So, never mind. But yeah, got him. I've been after a version of Armada Galvatron, and I wasn't sure which one I wanted to get. Whether I was going to get the original one, whether I was going to get the Legacy repaint, or get the Fans Hobby one of their Masterpiece one, third party Masterpiece. But yeah, this, it was cheap enough. It was about 37 quid, I think I paid for it, or something like that. So there we go, and I bought that from James Light. And then that was almost me done for Saturday. There was only one more thing, and I wandered around again, and I wandered round to the Junk Shop Japan / USA store, because I asked them what the name of their store was. Now last year they were Junk Shop Japan, but this year they've changed their name slightly. Apparently they're Junk Shop Japan USA. I don't know why they did that, but anyway, I was looking on their store. There was one of those Earthspark one-step swindles they had, which look, I was messing with it. It was pretty cool little fidget toy, but it is a one-step changer with no articulation, but it was still a neat little fidget toy, and I almost bought that. But then I saw something else on their store, and I thought, actually, I want that. Takara Henkei, what is it? I've got a number down there, but it's Henkei Cosmos. Now I have got, this is my second version of this. I have got another one in the other room, and the reason I bought this, now I'm probably going to keep this one stock because this one's quite tidy. Actually, it's very clean. It's in good nick. I mean, there he is, Henkei Cosmos. So yeah, so it's a duplicate. It's the second one that I've got. The reason I bought this is because, as you saw in alt mode, he almost forms a perfect wheel. And in the Marvel G1 continuity, there is a transformer that his alt mode was a wheel, G1 Scrounge. So I want to do a custom on one of these figures, not necessarily this one, probably the other one, because this one's in better nick than the other one. I might keep this one stock, and I might do the other one. I've been meaning to do this, and it's another one of those where I'm all talk and yeah, I want to do a custom on this and blah 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 blah, and I don't do anything about it. But that's the reason why I bought this. I bought this as a replacement for the other one I've got in the other room, which I'm planning to do a custom on into G1 Scrounge. But that was the last thing I bought on Saturday, and by the time I bought that, it was about 11:30. So I blew half of my convention cash in the first, because I went in at 10:30. So in about an hour, I blew half my convention cash. So moving on to Sunday. Sunday, same amount of money, I had a couple of quid left over from the Saturday. I think it was 2 quid left over, or 3 quid or whatever, and that carried over into the Sunday. And I then started again, did wave 2, so to speak. So getting on to this, my Sunday haul. I'm quite impressed with my Sunday haul, actually. I reckon I did quite well out of the Sunday. I think I did better than the Saturday. That's my own personal opinion. But anyway, first thing I got when I got into the hall at 10:30, I think it was, the hall opened. Yeah, Missing Link Sunstreaker. Now, I was meant to get this on the Saturday, but I didn't actually see it on sale anywhere. But In Demand had some, and on the Sunday morning it was not so manic, or well, it wasn't so crowded, and I was able to have a good look at what they had on the shelves at the back, and I noticed they had a couple of the Missing Link Sunstreakers. Now, I was expecting to have to pay like 95 quid for this, but they were doing it for 73 quid, which I thought was very, very reasonable. So I made a play on it, and this is one of the things that I wanted to get, Missing Link Sunstreaker. So that was my first play on the Sunday. Right, then went to Toy Fu, because I hadn't bought anything off Toy Fu on the Saturday, so I decided to make amends for that on the Sunday, and I did buy a few bits off to Toy Fu this year. Starting off with Takara Webdivers Jaguaron. Now, or Jaguarian. Yes, from Webdivers. He turns into a red sports car. And the Webdivers was designed around a computer game console that was built into the main figure, And this guy could plug into it, and you press a button and it shoots infrared beams that then control the game console. It was a weird setup. And this toy line came out in that grey area, that sort of no man's land between Beast Wars finishing and, you know, sort of RID. Well, no, got that wrong. Was it? No, yeah, it was. Was it after Beast Wars this came out? And then it was before Unicron Trilogy started, or no, RID. I think it was in that sort of void, because or was it before that? I can't remember. It was in one of those little slots between sort of like, you know, the Transformers continuity going from one thing to another, where they had a bit of a gap, because after when Beast Wars started to tail off, Hasbro and Takara started looking at doing other franchises, and they invented this Webdivers TV show. Now I've got a couple of Webdivers figures, and they had another one. They had Wyverian on there as well, the Wyvern that turns into a float plane. They had that, but it was damaged, and they were asking 75 quid for it. And I thought, well, if that was complete, I would have bought it. But as it was incomplete and broken, I decided to leave it. But they had this, and I did want this, so I managed to get this guy. He's pretty cool. He's got this sort of Panther or Jaguar themed alt mode, well robot mode. Kind of cool. It's a very old toy. He's got rusty pegs and pins on him, so he's a bit stiff and scary to transform. But there he is. He's all right. I got him from Toy Fu. And then it reminded myself that there was a G1 figure that I wanted, that earlier this year I got me a G1 broadside from was it the Minicon Manchester, from Rohan's Corner, and it was then I had 2 out of the 3 Autobot triple changes, and I wanted another one, and I didn't have a Springer, so I had it in my head I wanted a G1 Springer. So I looked around on the Toy Fu store, and they had a couple early on the Sunday. I noticed they had a box one for 60 quid, but I passed on that. And then when I looked on the store on the Sunday, that had gone, and they had 2 loose ones on the figure, one for 20 quid, one for 40 quid. The 40 quid one had the rotor blades and the gun. The 20 quid one only had the rotor blades. But when you looked at the condition they were both in, I think the one that I bought was in slightly better condition in terms of, you know, chrome wear and decals and stuff. But anyway, I got me a G1 Springer. So there we go. Got him. He's in okay condition, I suppose. Very stiff to transform because he's an old toy from the 1980s. But yeah, got hold of him from Toy Fu, and that was that. And then I went back to my mate James Lai at Maxmas of Toys. So I went and see James again, and had another look round his store, and I was looking at a few things, and then I saw something at the back, and I thought, you know what, that's one of the ones I haven't got from that particular toy line. So I made a play on it. Fansproject Function X10 Browning 2 or Browning 11. So basically it's the highbrow. So yeah, he's in there. There he is. So I haven't got that one, and I do like Fansproject Function X stuff. It's pretty good actually. I do like it, but I'd passed on this one in the past because I just wasn't too taken by... I'm not a massive highbrow fan, but I thought, well, I've got pretty much all the other Function X stuff. I might as well just go for this guy. So James had him for a sensible price, so managed to get hold of him. And then while I was there, I looked on his store, looked over to the loose stuff that was on the table up to the far end, and I saw another figure, and I thought, don't tell me, that can't be the same one from last time. KFC Heavy Metal Phase 3 Citizen Stacks. Their masterpiece, KFC's masterpiece Ultra Magnus from 10 years ago. Yeah, this thing came out in 2014 because I remember, because this was brand new when I went to roll out Roll Call 2014, because I remember a couple of dealers had it there. Decided to get this because I'm quite a large Ultra Magnus simp, and I've got a Masterpiece one, and I was looking at the Fans Toys one and the X-Trans Bots one that James had on his stall on Saturday. And the X-Trans Bots one, I've heard bad things about it, and the Fans Toys one is a bit pricey. So I saw this one and I thought, that'll do. I've transformed it into, oh yeah, I think you can, there you go, you can pull the smokestacks up, there we go. I think, and I went to transform it into, when it was in robot mode, and I transformed it into alt mode, and I will say this mould, time hasn't been kind to it. It's really creaky and shonky to transform. The tolerances on some of the joints aren't great. Some of the pegs are loose, some of them are tight. You know, it's a bit of a mission to transform as in regards to that. It's a bit quirky, but I wanted it, and also it's the second time I've seen this figure, because if you go back to December last year, the NEC Toy Fair, James came up to go with me to the NEC Toy Fair, and while we were going to the NEC Toy Fair, he found this very figure on a stall being sold loose, and he was picking it up, looking at it, and then I came over to him and said, "Oh look, oh there, the KFC Ultra Magnus," and I was keen to buy it, and James did offer it to me. But then I said, no, because I thought he'd made a play on it already. So I thought, okay, you can have it. And then later on, James was looking for a G1 grapple, and he'd seen some rough ones and turned them down. But I found a decent G1 grapple that was intact and complete, and I bought that, and that cost me 40 quid. And James had paid 60 quid for this. And then when I went back to him, he said, I'm sorry, mate, I've already promised it to a friend of mine. Because he contacted a friend to show him he'd got this, and his friend bit his hand off and said he was going to buy it off him. Turns out that friend, when he actually got it, he decided it wouldn't be a good fit for his collection. He made some excuses as to why it wasn't what he thought it wasn't what he thought it was, and it didn't work for him. So he passed it back on to James, and James was just throwing it out on the store. He was asking 69 quid for it, but when I went to buy it off him, he says, we'll do it for 60, because that's how much he bought it for off the NEC Toy Fair. So basically he sold it to me at zero profit. But then again, James is a dude like that, and so I've got it. It's just a shame that doesn't clip into place. But another Ultra Magnus. So that was pretty cool. Right, I've got to keep track of where I am. Right, then I wandered over to Kapow and had a look at their sort of legend stuff they had at one end of the store, and I saw something and I thought, actually, yeah, I think I'll give that a go. Iron Factory IFEX64D Dynamite Wrangler, their Outback. So yeah, I have got a soft spot for Outback, so yeah, I'll give that a go. That should be all right. I mean, Iron Factory stuff is pretty good. I've got quite a few Iron Factory figures in my collection. I'm not a massive fan of Iron Factory stuff, but I do like the odd figure now and again. So I thought I'd give that a go. And then I went back to Primetime Toys and had a look at their sort of legend selection again. And I saw a figure and I sort of questioned what the hell it was. And when I sort of went onto my phone to check it out, I thought, actually, that looks really interesting. Galaxy Toys. Now, it's got a weird name. Mini Statue 04 at full speed. What a stupid name. It's actually Blue Streak or Silver Streak, but in a super legend scale. I haven't actually opened it yet, but I know this is by, well, Galaxy Toys was MPH Studios who did that really tall beach cone, which is absolutely amazing. So they've rebranded themselves, and I've got the Warpath from them, and now I've got this one. So I'll be interested to see what this is like. So I'm looking forward to opening this later on. I haven't actually done it yet, but got that from Primetime Toys. And then I wandered across to Rohan's Corner, and I've bought stuff from him over the last couple of years, most notably from the small conventions like, you know, sort of like the TF UK Con and Minicon Manchester. So I've seen him around at other conventions, but he does do the large conventions sometimes. And he had his usual sort of modest stall, a table with a load of loose figures on and some sort of box stuff at the back. And I went round his stall a couple of times over the weekend, but on the Sunday sort of morning, I had a peruse over the loose figures on his table, and I saw something, and I thought, I had to sort of look at it and then and ah, do I want it? Do I want to get it? And then, you know what, I said, sod it, I'm going to get it. Now, there is a line of Transformers toys that have a bit of a bad reputation, the Transformers Titanium series. Now, I have got quite a few Transformers Titanium figures in my collection, and for better or for worse, they've not got a very good sort of reputation. The thing with Titanium figures is they're loaded with die cast, but they were designed by designers who didn't work for Transformers. They were designed by other toy designers, like the Micro Machine designers at Galoob designed the Titanium, and it shows. So you throw some toy designers into doing a Transformers toy who have never done a Transformers toy before, and it shows. And the toy line suffered greatly from this issue. But anyway, I looked down on the table, and he had the Titanium's Megatron on his stall, and that is down, according to TJ Omega, on his he got it down as the worst Transformers toy ever. Yeah, but next to it was another figure from the Titanium's line, which has got is probably one of the best figures in the Titanium line. And I was looking at it and thinking, you know what, I'll make a play on that. Transformers Titanium War Within the Fallen. So yeah, they did a bunch of molds based on the War Within designs from Dreamwave, and this is one of the molds that they got out of it. They got out the Fallen, and yeah, he looks pretty cool. Now obviously he's a Titanium figure. He's loaded with die cast. He's got all the sort of the loose wibbliness that you'd come to expect from a Titanium figure, because that's what they've got. Because although they're made out of die cast, the joints aren't strong enough to support them in any meaningful poses, so they're a bit of a misdemeanor in that regard. But this is one of the better figures that they did for the line. I decided to get it because I was curious about it. I've also recently got the Age of the Primes leader class Fallen as well, so I thought it'd make a good companion to go with him. So I decided to get it. It was loose, but I didn't mind taking this on, and it came with the little plaque that because they came with a stand. And you had the little, you stuck the little display, the character plaque on the front to tell what it is. But this guy was missing his stand, but he had the plate. I have got other Titanium figures that are complete with the stand, so I can sort of stand out for him if I want to. But anyway, I decided to get him from Rohan. Then went over to Kapow and bought another figure. This figure works for me in two ways. It's two sort of character sort of things sort of merged together into one figure. But unfortunately, the alt mode, one of the character, the alt mode, falls well short of my anticipation of what it should be like. So what I got is this: the Takara Synergen X Godzilla 70th anniversary, Transformers 40th anniversary, Megatron type Godzilla. So yeah, and officially licensed by Toho, and it's got the T-Spark. I don't know what that's for, but it's part of their Synergen X line. Yeah, so I bought this because I'm a fan of Godzilla, I'm a fan of Megatron. What's not to like? It works in some ways, and in other ways it doesn't. The robot mode looks okay. The alt mode though, the Godzilla mode, falls well short of what I think it should look like. Considering this is officially licensed by Toho, you'd have thought they'd have greenlit them to make the Godzilla, make all the Grimlock, remold some parts on it to make it look more like Godzilla, like changing the head to look more like the typical sort of Godzilla snout, and then giving him the dorsal spines down the back. They didn't do that, unfortunately, which is a shame. So yeah, there we go. So I bought it, but now there is a third-party add-on company who are going to be doing an upgrade set for this, which is going to fix a lot of the issues that the alt mode has got. So I am looking forward to getting that at some point. But in the meantime, I decided to buy this because it was there, and I was sort of on the fence about getting it, and I decided to go for it, even though it's my third sort of repaint, my second repaint of the Studio Series 86 Grimlock. I've got the original one, I've got the G2 version, and now I've got this version of the mould. So yeah, I'm getting quite a few the Studio Series 86 Grimlock molds. So got that. Then I wandered around to the Space Bridge, looked on the Space Bridge stall. They got those glass cases down the side with various sort of figures in. And I was looking in those cases and I saw a figure that I thought, actually, I wouldn't mind having a look at that. So I asked the guy if he could get it out of the case, and he did, and I had a quick look at it. And I bought it. Transformers Universe Deluxe Dinobot. So in the Universe toy line, which was mostly a repaint of the Minicon trilogy molds, they also did some original molds where they sort of like did reworks of characters of old, and this was one of those characters. They decided to have another stab at the Dinobot mold, and this is what they ended up with. I wanted to give this mold a go because obviously I've got an original Beast Wars Dinobot, and I've also got the War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager Dinobot as well. So I wanted to see what this version was like. So it does things slightly differently to the normal sort of transformation, but decided to get him. Got him from Space Bridge. And then wandered around again and eventually found my way to Junk Shop Japan USA again. And like I said, I bought my last figure of the day, the previous day, from this store. And last year Junk Shop Japan had a bunch of the Takara Deluxe Earthspark figures on their thing. So because they had Aftermath, Jawbreaker, and what was the other one called? The girl bot. I can't remember. Anyway, my mind's gone. Yeah, so they had those last year, but this year they had a largely sort of loose figures on the front. Some of them were Japanese repaints, but they also had some stuff on the table on the side. Now, one thing I would hope to see at this convention was Transformers Takara Wild King figures, because I really want to get into the Wild King line. I was hoping to get hold of a Wild King Megatron and hopefully some of the Spirit Beasts to go with it. Now I noticed on their store on Saturday they had the black repaint, the Shadow Side Megatron from Wild King, and that looked really cool. But when it comes to Megatron, I prefer my Megatron to be in normal colours rather than repainted black. Had it been the Black Nemesis, then I'd have bit the guy's hand off, but I've actually been onto eBay after the convention and ordered the Wild King Nemesis Prime with that lava, whatever it is, spiritual beast that it comes with. So I've ordered that 2-pack, so hopefully that's going to arrive in the next couple of months. But anyway, on looking on their side table, they had the Optimus and the Megatron, and they were selling them together for 90 quid. And I asked him whether he'd split them up, and he says, yeah, I'll sell them separately. So he picked up the Megatron and sold it to me. So yeah, there we go. Takara, Tomy, Transformers, Wild King, Megatron. So yeah, you can add all the spirit beasts and power him up like that. But this is just the basic figure. So I've got my ending with the Wild King toy line. So there we go. Managed to get hold of that from Junk Shop Japan, USA. Then went back to In Demand and had a look on their stall and saw a figure. They only had one left because they'd sold the rest of them throughout the day. Now I've got the is it the what are they called? I've got the mainline version of this. Or was it Prime Changer or whatever they called them? Anyway, so I was looking at the Studio Series one, and I was kind of I've got the other version, but I saw this and I thought, why not? So Studio Series Transformers 1 Sentinel Prime. Now I've got the Prime Changers version, the mainline version of this character. He's all right. I was looking at this one. I thought he was a bit kibbly with the wing kibble, but looking at him in person, he doesn't look too bad. And when you look at his actual robot mode compared to the picture shots of him in the movie, it actually looks pretty close. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to get that. So I made a play on that. And then my yeah, that was it. Yeah, so then I only had about 50 odd quid left of my total budget, and I was looking around, what can I buy, and I wandered back down along the Toy Foo stall, and I'd seen a few bits on the Toy Foo stall and thought, yeah, that's all right. And then I looked up on it was perched on top of one of their displays. I saw something and I thought, that isn't what I think it is. And I says, can I have a look at that? And I looked at it and it had some sort of label on it. Ata blue scrap metal. Now, for those who don't know, these figures in the Cybertron series, later on they go back to is it the planet Cybertron, or is it the giant planet or wherever, and there's a bunch of these little sort of drone robots called scrap metals that go across the planet like a plague of locusts and eat everything up. And they come in 3 different colour variants. They come in red, yellow and blue. And in the Japanese toy line, they released all 3 variants of the toy, but in the West, we only got the yellow and red ones. So this thing is hellishly rare and expensive. Now I paid 50 quid for this, which is effectively a legend scale toy, but it's a blue scrap metal. I've been after one of these things for donkey's years, for, well, not quite a decade, but I would say probably about 7 to 8 years I've been after one of these, because I got the other 2 and I wanted the 3rd one to complete the set, and I knew that this version, being a Japanese exclusive, was hellishly rare and expensive. So when I saw it on the Toy Foo store, I had to get it. And this is the 2nd Grail figure I've bought this month, because I got one of my other Grail figures which arrived in that unboxing video you saw earlier today. I got my main Grail, but this, I've been after this for ages, a blue scrap metal. Now this was on the Toy Foo stall, and amazing no one else picked up on this and realised just how rare and exclusive this figure is. So I got in there and got a blue scrap metal, and that was the last figure that I bought at TFNation this year. But it wasn't my complete convention haul. There are 2 more items that I got later on. So I was then just milling about then, killing time until the closing ceremony. So I went back to the car, put some stuff away, started walking back to the dealer hall, and then I saw Dean and Jermaine coming the other way. So I stopped them in the corridor. I had a natter with them, told them about, you know, getting this. And then Mr. TF Raw walks up again and starts talking with us. So we're having this discussion in the corridor, and then Mr. Raw, TF Raw, Andy, goes into his bag and says, "Hey, I've got some other freebies for you." And he hands out these things. So he gave one to me, one to Dean, and one to Jermaine. Now these are Transformers Dark of the Moon Autobots USB memory 4 GB. It's a hybrid holder. So, and I'll get this out. So it's like a belt clip. It's got an Autobot thing on it, and it's got a thing that you plug into your computer or your laptop or whatever, and it's a 4 GB memory stick. So yeah, he gave us that, so that was great. So Andy, if you're watching, thank you so much for that. So Mr. TF Raw gave me 2 freebies throughout the weekend, one on Friday, one on Sunday, so that was great. And then James Live Maximil of Toys. Throughout the course of the event, whenever I went over to his store, he kept saying to me, "Make sure you come back at the end of the dealer hall, and I might have something for you." So anyway, it was getting down to the closing of the dealer hall, and I went over to see James. He was I went round his stall a couple of times and he wasn't there, but then towards the end he came back, and so I went in, had a word with him, and then he asked me. He says, "You like Optimus Prime, don't you?" And I said, "Well, not really. I'm not a fan of vanilla Optimus Prime." "Oh, what about Optimus Primal from Beast Wars?" I said, "Yeah, he's all right." He says, "Okay, you can have this," and he got under his table, and then he handed me this for free. Now he was selling these things on his stall for 45 quid. Now it's the Takara Awakened Optimus Primal. I think that's what it says there, and it's like almost like a leader class Optimus Primal from Age of the Beasts, or Rise of the Beasts, and so he gave me that. And then they called time on the dealer hall, and trading ended, and then I walked this back to the car and then went round to the dealer hall to do the closing ceremony. So James, this is the last thing I got from James. This is my last item I got given at the convention. It was a freebie from James Lai. So thanks to you, James. You're always a pal and a buddy. Like I said, I've known you for 10 years. You always see me right and giving me discounts and stuff. So you didn't really need to buy me this, to be honest, but you did anyway. And you're a bud, you're a pal, you're a legend. Thank you. So that's it. That's my haul. Again, quite a big haul. Like I said, I save up my money throughout the year, take it to the convention, and just go mad and blow it on a load of plastic crack. Hopefully you've enjoyed this haul. Obviously I'll be going over it again in my end of month bot haul at the end of the month. But until then, I've been TFI Wilderness. Hopefully you enjoyed this haul. I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.